Hello, everybody. Hi, Grand Rising. Welcome to Saturday, July 12th, day 9 of the Bible in a Year series. We are going to start off with a little God time for women, and all the descriptions to everything that I use with the links is in the description for this video, and also a code so you can save money on your Amazon purchases. July 12th, surrender. Surrender is offering what you have to someone else without reservation. Once you surrender something, you give up your ownership and your rights along with it. What does a life fully surrendered to Christ look like? It's holding nothing back from God and surrendering every single part to Him. Full surrender to a holy God cannot be fabricated. God, the omniscient one, cannot be fooled by eloquent words or false commitment. Complete surrender to Him can be nothing less than sincere, legitimate, and full of abandonment. Those of you who do not give up everything you have cannot be my disciples. Luke 14:33. Being a disciple of Christ requires complete and total surrender of everything you have and everything you are. He is not asking you to give up anything that He wasn't willing to give for you. When He gave up the glory and rights of His heavenly throne, He surrendered more for you than you could ever surrender for Him. Jesus never sold this life as being casual, simple, or inexpensive, but He did promise that the reward would be great. Oops, wrong side. Okay, now we're going to be doing our Bible readings for the day. Today, is day 9. We're going to be reading about Sodom and Gomorrah. We're reading from Genesis 18 and 19, Job 7 and 8, and Proverbs 2, 1 through 5. Genesis 18. Oh, need my readers. Give me a moment, please. I only have one contact lens in, so it's hard to see the tiny little Bible writing. All right. Genesis 18. A son promised to Abraham and Sarah. And the Lord appeared to him by the oaks of Mamre as he sat at the door of his tent in the heat of the day. He lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, 3 men stood in front of him. When he saw him, he ran from the tent door to meet him, and he bowed himself to the earth and said, My Lord, if I have found favor in your sight, do not pass by your servant. Let a little water be brought, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree, while I fetch a morsel of bread, that you may refresh yourselves. And after that you may pass on, since you have come to your servant. So they said, Do as you have said. And Abraham hastened into the tent to Sarah and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes. And Abraham ran to the herd and took a calf, tender and good, and gave it to the servant, who hastened to prepare it. Then he took curds and milk, and the calf which he had prepared, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree while they ate. They said to him, Where is Sarah your wife? And he said, She is still in the tent. The Lord said, I will surely return to you in the spring, and Sarah your wife shall have a son. And Sarah was listening at the tent door behind him. Now Abraham and Sarah were old, advanced in age. It had ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. So Sarah laughed to herself, saying, After I have grown old, and my husband is old, shall I have pleasure? The Lord said to Abraham, Why did Sarah laugh, and say, Shall I indeed bear a child now that I am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the appointed time I will return to you, but in the spring, and Sarah shall have a son. But Sarah denied, saying, I did not laugh, for she was afraid. He said, No, but you did laugh. Abraham intercedes for Sodom. Then the men set out from there, and they looked towards Sodom, and Abraham went with them to set them on their way. The Lord said, "Shall I hide from Abraham what I'm about to do, seeing that Abraham shall become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall bless themselves with him? No, for I have chosen him that he may charge his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing righteousness and justice, so that the Lord may bring to Abraham what he has promised him." Then the Lord said, "Because the outcry against Sodom and Gomorrah is great, and their sin is very grave, I will go down to see whether they have done altogether according to the outcry which has come to me, and if not, I will know." So the men turned from there and went toward Sodom, but Abraham still stood before the Lord. Then Abraham drew near and said, "Will you indeed destroy the righteous with the wicked? Suppose there are 50 righteous within the city. Will you then destroy the place and not spare it for the 50 righteous who are in it? Far be it from you to do such a thing, to slay the righteous with the wicked, so the righteous fare as the wicked. Far be that from you. Shall not the judge of all the earth do right?" And the Lord said, "If I find at Sodom 50 righteous in the city, I will spare the whole place for their sake." Abraham answered, "Behold, I have taken upon myself to speak to the Lord, I who am but dust and ashes. Suppose 5 of the 50 righteous are lacking. Will you destroy the whole city for lack of 5? And he said, "I will not destroy it if I find 45 there." Again he spoke to him and said, "Suppose 40 are found there," he answered. Suppose 40 are found there. He answered, "For the sake of 40 I will not do it." Then he said, "O Lord, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak. Suppose 30 are found there." He answered, "I will not do it if I find 30 there." He said, "Behold, I have taken upon myself to speak to the Lord. Suppose 20 are found there." He answered, "For the sake of 20 I will not destroy it." Then he said, "Oh, let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak but this once. Suppose 10 are found there." He answered, "For the sake of 10 I will not destroy it." And the Lord went his way when he had finished speaking to Abraham, and Abraham returned to his place. Genesis 19, the immorality of Sodom. The 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them and bowed himself with his face to the earth and said, "My lords, turn aside, I pray to you, to your servant's house, and spend the night, and wash your feet. Then you may rise up early and go on your way." They said, "No, we will spend the night in the street." But he urged them strongly, so they turned aside to him and entered his house, and he made them a feast, and baked them unleavened bread, and they ate. But before they lay down, the men of the city, the men of Sodom, both young and old, all the people to the last man, surrounded the house. And when they called to Lot, "Where are the men who came to you tonight? Bring them out to us that we may know them." Lot went out of the door and said to the men, "Shut the door after..." Genesis 19, verse 6. Lot went out of the door to the men, shut the door after him, and said, "I beg you, my brothers, do not act so wickedly. Behold, I have 2 daughters who have not known man. Let me bring them out to you, and do to them as you please. Only do nothing to these men, for they have come under the shelter of my roof." But they said, "Stand back." And they said, "This fellow came to sojourn, and he would play the judge. Now we will deal worse with you than with them." Then they pressed hard against the man to Lot, and drew near to break the door. But the men put forth their hands and brought Lot into the house to them, and shut the door. And they struck with blindness the men who were at the door of the house, both small and great, so that they wearied themselves groping for the door. Sodom and Gomorrah destroyed. Then the men said to Lot, "Have you anyone else here? Sons-in-law, sons, daughters, or anyone you have in the city? Bring them out of this place, for we are about to destroy this place, because the outcry against its people have become great before the Lord, and the Lord has sent us to destroy it. So Lot went out and said to his sons-in-law, who were to marry his daughters, Up, get out of this place, for the Lord is about to destroy the city. But he seemed to his sons-in-law to be jesting. When the morning dawned, the angels urged Lot, saying, Arise, take your wife and your 2 daughters who are here, lest you be consumed in the punishment of the city. But he lingered. So the men seized him and his wife and his 2 daughters by the hand, the Lord being merciful to him. And they brought him forth and set him outside the city. And when they had brought him forth, they said, Flee for your life. Do not look back or stop anywhere in the valley. Flee to the hills, lest you be consumed. And Lot said to them, Oh no, my lords. Behold, your servant has found favor in your sight, and you have shown me great kindness in saving my life. But I cannot flee to the hills, lest the disaster overtake me and I die. Behold, yonder city is near enough to flee to, and it is a little one. Let me escape there. Is it not a little one? And my life will be saved. He said to him, Behold, I grant you this favor, also that I will not overthrow the city of which you have spoken. Make haste, escape there, for I can do nothing until you arrive there. Therefore, the name of the city was called Zoar. The sun had risen on the earth when Lot came to Zoar. Genesis verse 19, chapter 24. Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew those cities, and all the valley, and all the inhabitants of the cities, and what grew on the ground. But Lot's wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. And Abraham went early in the morning to the place where he had stood before the Lord, and he looked down toward Sodom and Gomorrah, and toward all the land of the valley, and behold, and behold, and beheld, the smoke of the land went up like the smoke of a furnace. So it was that, when God destroyed the cities of the valley, God remembered Abraham and sent out Lot out of the midst of the overthrow, when he overthrew the cities in which Lot dwelt. The shameful origin of the Moabites and Ammonites. Moabites? I'm going to say Moabites. Now Lot went up out of Zoar and dwelt in the hills with his 2 daughters, for he was afraid to dwell in Zoar. So he dwelt in a cave with his 2 daughters. And the firstborn said to the younger, Our father is old, and there is not a man on earth to come in to us after the manner of all the earth. Come, let us make our father drink wine, and we will lie with him, that we may preserve offspring through our father. So they made their father drink wine that night, and the firstborn went in and lay with her father. He did not know when she lay down or when she arose. And on the next day the firstborn said to the younger, Behold, I lay with him last night with my father. Let us make him drink wine tonight also, and then you go in and lie with him, that we may preserve offspring through our father. So they made their father drink wine that night also. And the younger arose and lay with him, and he did not know when she lay down or when she arose. Thus both daughters of Lot were with child by their father. The firstborn bore a son, and called his name Moab. He is the father of the Moabites to this day. The younger also bore a son, and called his name Ben-Ami. He is the father of the Ammonites to this day. That concludes the Genesis reading. We're moving on to Job. We've got Job 7 and Job 8. Job 7. Job speaks of his sufferings. Has not a man hard service upon this earth, and are not his days like the days of a hireling, like a slave who longs for the shadow, and like a hireling who looks for his wages? So I am allotted months of emptiness, and nights of misery are apportioned to me. When I lie down, I say, When shall I arise? But the night is long, and I am full of tossing till the dawn. My flesh is clothed with worms and dirt. My skin hardens, then breaks out afresh. My days are swifter than a weaver's shuttle, and come to their end without hope. Remember that my life is a breath, and my eye will never again see good. The eye of him who sees me will behold me no more. While your eyes are upon me, I shall be gone. As the cloud fades and vanishes, so he who goes down to Sheol does not come up. He returns no more to his house, nor does his place know him any more. Therefore I will not restrain my mouth. I will speak in the anguish of my spirit. I will complain in the bitterness of my soul. Am I the sea or a sea monster that you set a guard over me? When I say, my bed will comfort me, my couch will ease my complaint, then you scare me with dreams and terrify me with visions, so that I would choose strangling and death rather than my bones. I loathe my life. I would not live forever. Leave me, let me alone, for my days are a breath. What is man that you make so much of him, and that you set your mind upon him? Visit him every morning and test him every moment. How long will you not look away from me, nor let me alone till I swallow my spittle? If I sin, what do I do to you, you watcher of men? Why have you made me your mark? Why have I become a burden to you? Why do you not pardon my transgression and take away my iniquity? For now I shall lie in the earth. You will seek me, but I shall not be. That was Job speaking of his sufferings. Job 8, Bildad speaks. God is just. Then Bildad the Shuhite answered, How long will you say these things, and the words of your mouth be a great wind? Does God pervert justice, or does the Almighty pervert the right? If your children have sinned against him, he has delivered them into the power of their transgression. If you will seek God and make a supplication to the Almighty, if you are pure and upright, surely he will rouse himself for you, and reward you with rightful habitation. And through your beginning was a small, I can't read today, excuse me, Job 8, verse 7. And though your beginnings was small, your latter days will be very great. For I inquire, I beg of you, by bygone ages, and consider what the fathers have found. For we are but of yesterday, and know nothing. For our days on the earth are a shadow. Will they not teach you and tell you and utter words out of their understanding? Can papyrus grow where there is no marsh? Can reeds flourish where there is no water? While yet in flower and not cut down, they wither before any other plant. Such are the paths of all who forget God. The hope of the godless man shall perish. His confidence breaks in sunder, and his trust is a spider's web. He leans against his house, but it does not stand. He lays hold of it, but it does not endure. He thrives before the sun, and his shoots spread over his garden. His roots twine about the stone heap. He lives among the rocks. If he is destroyed from his place, then it will deny him, saying, I have never seen you. Behold, this is the joy of his way, and out of the earth others will spring. Behold, God will not reject a blameless man, nor take the hand of evildoers. He will yet fill your mouth with laughter, and your lips with shouting. Those who hate you will be clothed with shame, and the tent of the wicked will be no more. Concludes the Job reading for today. Now we're going to read Proverbs 2, verse 1 through 5. The treasure of wisdom. My son, if you receive my words and treasure up my commandments with you, making your ear attentive to wisdom and inclining your hearts to understanding, yes, if you cry out for insight and raise your voice for understanding, if you seek it like silver and search for its hidden treasures, and search for it as for hidden treasures, then you will understand the fear of the Lord. I don't know why I took them off, because I'm going to put them right back on. But that concludes our Bible reading for the day. Again, today's day 9. And we read Genesis 18 and 19, Job 7 and 8, and Proverbs 2, 1 through 5. Our reflection on the word. Oops, told you I was going to have to put them back on again. Abraham and Sarah will be blessed with a child whom they will name Isaac. In today's reading, we see 3 figures who go down to Sodom. We don't know who they are, but we know their role is to exact justice, not vengeance. Justice is giving someone what is their due, while vengeance is simply taking out your anger on another. Justice is clearly established in the story today. God is going to destroy an entire city, but Abraham asks if he would destroy it if there were righteous people there as well. God says he would spare the city if there were, for he is just. Sometimes the Bible doesn't tell us someone did the wrong thing. Didn't I read this yesterday? I'm almost positive I read this yesterday. But I'm just checking something real quick. Bear with me. No, I guess not. Okay. Yeah, okay. I'm back. So sometimes the Bible doesn't tell us someone did the wrong thing, but shows us that it was the wrong thing to do. The daughters of Lot have relations with the father so they can continue their bloodline. The Bible doesn't proclaim this to be wrong, but rather it shows its consequences. The descendants of this sinful union are the Moabites and the Ammonites, who became the enemies of the Israelites. There are so many questions that come up in these readings, but we can still learn from it, even if it doesn't immediately make sense. That is true for the book of Job today. Job's friends, Eliphaz and Bildad, say that God is just and does not allow evil to happen to someone who doesn't deserve it. So Job should admit that he deserves it. Sometimes our friends just give us an automatic rote religious answer as to why something horrible is happening in our lives. Job does not understand, though, for he has not done anything evil, and he believes that God is just. That is the big question the book of Job raises. If God is just, why is there so much evil in the world? Why do good people suffer? The book of Job does not end by answering the question of why. Rather than seeking an answer, we should just journey with Job, enter into his suffering, and allow his questions to be our questions and our questions to be his. Father in heaven, we thank you so much. We thank you for your word. We thank you for revealing your heart to us. We thank you for all of the gift that your word is when it's proclaimed to us. We give you praise. We ask that you please, in the name of your Son, Jesus Christ, Father in heaven, receive our thanks. Receive our praise now. Amen. Dive deeper. Why does Lot offer his daughters to be raped by the men of Sodom? It is said that holiness is contagious. So is sin. Lot has become infected with the depraved culture of Sodom. He is totally committed to the prosperity that living in the city affords. He seems to be one of its elders. His daughters are pledged to its citizens, and his wife is so invested in the city she literally cannot tear herself away. When a corrupt society offers you prosperity in exchange for your soul, what will you do? Despite this assimilation, Lot has enough moral awareness to see the danger the visitors will face in this perverse city. So he meets them at the city gate and rushes them to his house. At night, the inhabitants of the city bang on his door, wanting to have sexual relations with them. The horror of living in such an evil city is revealed in such appalling details. Lot's moral compass fails, though, when his obedience to the custom of hospitality outweighs even his natural concern for his own daughters. He thinks it's better to offer them to the perverse men of Sodom than his guests. This is a glimpse into a very ancient and primitive way of thinking. The disregard he shows for the welfare of his daughters comes back to haunt him when he is in flight with them and essentially at their mercy. Lavinia Spirito concludes our Bible in a Year reading for Saturday, July 12th, day 9. Thank you for joining. If you have any suggestions, if you have any reflections, if you have any comments on what we read today, if you have any advice for anybody going through anything, please feel free, put that in the comments. Like the video if you enjoy the comment. Make sure you hit that thumbs up sign. Also, I wanted to mention that I have a traumatic brain injury, so whatever I'm going to mention, I guess I'll mention it on another video because it is not happening today. But thank you very much for joining us for Bible in a Year. We'll be back tomorrow with day 13. Let me give you a heads up in case you like to be prepared. It's July 13th. It's day 10. It's going to be about Hagar and Ishmael, Genesis 20 through 21, and Job 9 through 10, Proverbs 2, 6 through 8. And we're going to be looking at a picture that shows the possible reconstruction of Sodom. So here's an illustration just for a little sneak peek. Yeah, looks like you can read it and everything. So we'll be back tomorrow, guys. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time. Bye.